Hi everybody, you're most welcome to today's lesson. My name is Hajisu Ivan. Okay, today we are going to do a follow-up of what we've been studying previously. And if you were to remember, we talked about nouns. We also talked about adjectives in the previous lessons. If you can watch them, especially after having subscribed to our academic channel. So today we are going to look at another category of words. And this category is nothing but pronouns. Okay. So you would like to ask yourself what pronouns are. Remember I told you some time back that words have a particular purpose. And the purpose of pronouns is to replace nouns. So if you are to define a pronoun, you will simply say a pronoun is a word used in the place of a noun. If, for example, you have a tree, because I love nature, and you would like to replace the word tree with a pronoun, you are going to say it. My name is Ivan. If you would like to replace Ivan with a pronoun, you're going to look for a word such as he. Now the good news today is that the pronouns are also categorized, and I'll quickly take you through the categories of these pronouns. We have what we call personal pronouns. Now, the personal pronouns here particularly are those words which are used to refer especially to people or probably an object. So, if you talk about referring to a person, personal. If you look at a word such as he, she, they, then we'd also maybe look at another one such as them for that matter, and then we would also probably look at it for animals if you wouldn't like to forget. Okay, so we said he is a personal pronoun, she is one of them, it for animals and objects probably, and we could have maybe they. Yeah, they is collective because you're now joining the male and female. Men and women, ladies and gentlemen. Probably something like that. So these are examples of personal pronouns. They refer to people, an object. It could be a number. It. Number 2. Number 2 is such a lovely number. It. So if you do not want to say to another time, you are going to say it. As simple as that. Before I forget, I would like to assure you today that pronouns are very useful in as far as avoiding repetition is concerned. That's their primary role. So if you don't want to repeat yourself as you talk, as you communicate, you are going to make sure that you use a pronoun. And it's very beautiful, as a matter of fact. If, for example, I'm to give you a story and I am to repeat the subject of the story, you will surely get so bored because I'm talking about the same thing and I just don't have any substitute whatsoever. So if at all you are maybe talking about, let me give you a simple sentence for that matter, just very quickly, I might not have to write it down. If you say, Dennis is the keeper to beat. Then you continue and say, Dennis is very good at the sport in which he engages. Then you could maybe like to have something more you could want to say. Say, Dennis for that matter. Sorry, David and Dennis are very synonymous. So, Dennis is probably a tall sportsman. I mean, it doesn't add up. So the best thing to do is to use a pronoun. Dennis is the keeper to beat. He is a good sportsman. He also loves, and so on and so forth. So when you do that, you avoid repetition, and as a result, surely your presentation is very coherent, clear, and good. Okay, so apart from personal pronouns, we also have relative pronouns. Relative pronouns. Okay, so the relative pronouns include who. It's very important. I would like to maybe generalize and say probably WH, but I would not want to consider every other WH as a relative pronoun. used in the place of a noun. So when you talk about who, this is a very important relative pronoun, as a matter of fact. It can be used in a statement. For example, we would say, that is the man who drove the car. That is the man who drove the car. There is a relation between the main statement and then the subordinate. Okay, the main clause and the subordinate clause. There's a relation somewhere there. So the relation comes in that you are using a relative pronoun in order to avoid repetition in your communication. That is the man. So our topic here is the man, and then you say, what did he do? What did he do? So the who is replacing he and what he did. So that is the man who drove the car. Simple as that. So who is a relative pronoun. That's another type of pronouns that we know, which can be used to replace a noun. The other type of relative pronouns that we talk about are what we call reflexive pronouns. Very good. When you talk about a reflexive pronoun, as a matter of fact, it seems like a reflex. You may be seated there and you're asking yourself, what is a reflex? Our bodies act out of reflex sometimes. A reflex action, for that matter, you could blink. So as you blink, you can't control it, but you do it. Reflexive pronouns are what we would also like to call self words. If you don't like to say a reflexive pronoun, you can say a self word. Okay? Self word. A self word. Let me be precise and give you an example of a self word. A self word such as myself. And as you write, make sure that you do not separate my and self. It's important. The moment you separate, you are off track. Maybe talking about something different. Apart from myself, you can say himself. Himself. For example, you could say, I did it myself. It's the same as somebody who says, I did it on my own. I did it myself. He did it on his own. He did it himself. Okay? So we're talking about a reflexive pronoun in order to replace a noun. A pronoun is simply a word that is used to replace a noun. And surely we are trying to understand the various types. So we've looked at the personal pronoun. We looked at a relative pronoun. We've also looked at the reflexive. Make sure you don't bite your tongue as you pronounce these words, because sometimes they will bring a lot of trouble here and there. So himself, ourselves. Ourselves is for probably more than one person. We talk about 2, 3, 5. So you're given a task and then you do it on you do the task on your own. Say, yeah, we did that task ourselves. Once upon a time when I was at school, we had our motto as, we do it ourselves. Such a lovely motto it was. So we do it ourselves. Very good motto, I should say. Yeah. It means that as long as you have something to do and we are together, we will do it. So we do it ourselves. Ourselves. Let me make sure that I clarify such that it looks like it's one word. The moment you separate, you are not writing the rightful word. Fine. Probably the last type of pronouns that I would like us to briefly look through are nothing but the possessive. Yes. Possessive pronouns. Pronouns, good. When you look at the possessive pronouns here, we are going to consider, we are going to create some words which are related to these. So when you talk about he, that's a personal pronoun. But when we say his, okay, a word such as his is a possessive pronoun because we are looking at somebody owning something. To possess simply means to own. So his, that is his job. That's what he does. His job, it's his. He does it, he possesses it. Okay? That is her hair. If you talk about hair, I know most ladies behind the camera there have a lot of beautiful hair. So, yeah, that's your hair. Your hair. Okay, so his is an example of Here's an example of a possessive pronoun. I could say her, okay. The last one I would like maybe to give in the interest of time is there, okay. There, good. So there is also an example of a possessive pronoun, as a matter of fact. So if you are to use any of these words in a given sentence, make sure that you use them appropriately in order to serve the different functions quite well. I would like to remind you, dear friend, to not forget to subscribe to our channel, which is Tower Academic, in order to get the latest videos that will be uploaded slowly but surely. And I would also like to thank you for watching as well. In case of anything, I believe we will add on. Have a good time.